Hello YouTubers, and today I'm showing you my computer build which I built in around February this year. Now the build cost me roughly around £220 and I use it for computer gaming and computer rendering and editing software, stuff like that. The system handles it all pretty good. Now, to get started, I will talk to you about the case. The case is a Coolermast Elite 330 case. Now, this case comes in at around £29.99, which is a fairly average price for a computer case. Now, I chose a Coolermast because I saw that they were highly recommended by a lot of other computer gamers who have built their own computer, and they say it keeps the system very cool, which is what my main objective was. So, now to what it has inside with the case. The case comes with, well, the case requires a standard ATX power supply. As you can see, I've got one right here which I'll talk to you about later. It has 5 internal hard drive bays, which you can see just here. There are slightly more than 5 because there are micro hard drives, which I think you can put 2.5-inch hard drives in there. I'll have to get back to you on that one. It also has 4 5.25-inch drive optical bays, which you can see here. These is where you put your Blu-ray drives or your normal optical drives. It also comes with a 120mm case fan, which will extract the heat out, and it is very good as it's next to the processor and motherboard. There is also an optional 120mm fan which you can install on the front, which I have, and as again I'll come back to that later in the video. Now to the front of the case. As you can see, around this area there is a black mesh. This is purely for styling and making the case look professional. You can remove these slots here when you want to install an extra optical drive, as you can see, which I've done here. Now, these cause a problem as they cause a lot of dust, so you may need to keep control of that by just giving it a nice wipe or a brush, whatever you want to do to make it look nice. Now, this is the turn on button. It's not plugged in, so it won't turn on if I turn it on. Nice push in button, hard drive indicator, and a reset button. Here you have 2 USB 2.0 speed USB slots. You have 1 microphone 3.5mm jack and 1 headset 3.5mm jack. Yeah, we have a all-in-one card reader which consists of a USB 2.0 speed USB slot, we have a SD card slot, we have an MS card slot, a CF/MD card slot, and an XD/SM card slot. 3 of them I don't use, but obviously they're very good to have anyway. Now, moving on inside the case to the components, we have, let's start with the motherboard. Now, I don't know if you can see that clearly, but as you can see, it's an Asus motherboard. I can get the exact model for you. It is the Asus M4 A7 8LT-MLE. Now, where I bought this motherboard from, it is not available to buy anymore, which is a shame because obviously I think this is a very good board for a very decent amount of money. I think I paid around £35 for it, which obviously is very cheap, but also the reviews it had on it, it obviously showed the board was good quality and build, and obviously Asus is a very reliable manufacturer brand. The max RAM that the motherboard can hold is 8 GB, which would consist of 2 times 4 GB RAM sticks. At the minute I have 4 GB, but we'll get back to that later on in the video. The motherboard can also have one PCIe times 16 slot, which is where you put your graphics card in. It also has one PCIe times 1 slot, and it also has 2 PCI normal slots. There is also one IDE port, which I'm not too sure what you put that in, and I'm not a big like nerd on, well, not so much a nerd, but I don't know all the ports and everything at the minute. I just know the basic stuff. The audio on here, however, I do know, which is a 8-channel high definition audio. I do not use the onboard motherboard audio, but I use the audio off the graphics card via the HDMI slot, which we'll get onto later. Okay, now let's move on to the processor, which we cannot see as it is behind this ginormous fan that I've got. The processor is a AMD PHENOM 2 dual-core 555 Black Edition processor. Now, some of you may be thinking what Black Edition means, and basically, as far as I know, it means that it can unlock to a quad core. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the information that I've read up about. The processor clock speed is 3.2 GHz, but I've heard that you can overspeed or overclock it to 3.8 GHz and still have a stable system. I have not tried this, as there is no need, as I feel 3.2 GHz is a fairly fast speed. The processor supports a AM3 socket, which is good to know, so you can select your motherboard and maybe an extra fan. To get onto the fan, which is what it's covering, it is an Arctic Cooler Freezer Pro 7. Now, looking at it, it looks very big. There are 6 heat pipes and 42 fins, which are used for efficient heat distribution. Now, this heatsink cooler is known to be the best, one of the best of the best. It is known to do the job, and so far I've seen incredible temperatures, which is kept down to about 35 degrees, which obviously isn't very hot. Now, it is coming in at around £12 I bought this for, which is not very bad if you want to keep your system very cool. And as I said earlier in the video, that's the main thing of what I was trying to do, is keep the system cool, which would make the system more reliable, which obviously less crashes, blue screens, etc. Now, next we can move on to the graphics card. The graphics card is a Powercolor ATI Radeon HD 5670, which is this right here. It has a video memory of 1 GB, and it also is a GDDR5 128-bit technology. Now, to be honest, I don't really know what 128-bit technology means, but I heard if you get 256, it is a lot better to have, as it can handle a lot more like hardcore stuff. But obviously I haven't had any to try, so I won't be able to know. However, if you have, please say, as opinions is always appreciated. The graphics card can support DirectX 11, which you know comes into very latest games, which is very useful to have as well. This graphics card was a very cheap one. I got it on offer at around, I think it was £60, which, if you know your stuff, then for a Radeon HD 5670, that is a fairly decent price. Obviously, all these components have been bought off eBuyer.com, which I would recommend strongly, as it is very cheap and always reliable, in my opinion, of course. Okay, now we'll go into my RAM. I have 4 gigabytes, which is done into 2 times 2 gigabyte sticks, DDR3 1333 MHz speed. I'm not too sure what the speed difference would be. Please tell me, as I'm interested to know, as I'm looking to upgrade to 8 gigabytes and looking at different speed and how they vary in prices. I'd love to know what they do. These are Extra Value, eBuyer's own brand. There was high 5-star reviews on them, and I thought, for the money, which was around £20, I thought, bargain. What a bargain compared to like big brands coming in at 30-40 quid for 4 gig. It's ridiculous. So, eBuyer, well done. Very reliable, lifetime warranty on them, so a superb buy. I would recommend it highly. Not sure if they sell them now though. If they do, which I think they still do, not too sure. If you were me, then just go and get some now. Okay, now to the power supply, which is what powers everything. Okay, now it is a 650 watt CIT gold power supply. It has, well, it is a 24-pin Saturn model. Not too sure what that means exactly, however, that's the model. It has a 12cm silent fan in it to keep it cool, as obviously with the power that it's given out, it'll generate a lot of heat, so you want to keep it cool. It comes with a lot of wires, more than what is needed. The ones that I haven't used, obviously just drop at the bottom or tie them down with cable knots, whatever you want to call them. Let's move on to the hard drive, shall we? Now, I was just looking at my motherboard just then, and I noticed I haven't mentioned about the SATA ports. If you can see them blue things there, that's what you connect your hard drive to. There are 6 available, so you have a possibility of connecting 6 hard drives. At the minute I've got 2 connected, which, if we can see these 2 black cables there leading up to the 2 bottom ones, these are connected to these 2. They are both 300 gigabyte hard drives, which I didn't pay for because I got them out of a Sky HD box. As the box was faulty, there was no more use for it, so I took it apart and made use of the hard drive in there and using them in here. Not too sure exactly on the RPM speed of it. All I know is they are both Western Digital brand, which is a very, very high rated brand for hard drives, as I know they're used in consoles like PlayStation and Xbox. So, great little free things I got. Now, as I said earlier, I was going to come back to this fan. It was about £3, and it was known as a silent fan. It is 120mm, which is the recommended size from Coolermast to have on the front. Now, the way it works is it sucks the air out, preferably off the hard drives, and brings them out there. If you put your hand over there, you'll be able to feel a lot of the heat coming out, which is very good, because heat going out that way and then heat going out that way, it will obviously generate a very cool system. Very simple to install. They're powered, as you can see, power cables come to this, that's connected to the power supply. Very simple. If you need any more instructions on how to connect your components to the motherboard or to the power supply, just get in touch. I'll try and help you as best as I can, as I've a fair bit of knowledge. So that is the basic overview from the inside. I can tell you about the optical drive if you want. Let's go back to the front. It is a Samsung SHS222A Alpha model. It gets up to the speed of a maximum of 22 times, which is fairly fast, but most of the time when I'm burning DVD or a game or music, I put on a lower speed, so I definitely know there's going to be no writing errors, or maybe quick like flick or something in the disc which would make it unreadable or whatnot. So good to have a fast speed like 22 times. It came in about £18, as obviously this is a budget gaming computer, and getting bargains is the best thing to do, and by getting like cheap components, doing your bit of research on where to get the cheapest stuff from is what I recommend to do, as it took me about a couple of weeks to find the right products at the right price. Instead of boring you with my information of my own experience, let's carry on. At the back of the case we have a expansion USB, which I bought as I required more USB ports. There is two 2.0 speed USB ports, and these two, not sure what they do, don't use them. However, I think that may be a network thing. I'm not sure if you know what, I don't know if you can see that. Don't know what that means, that logo there. However, if you do know, please say. This is the graphics card. There is the normal VGA out and HDMI there, which is what I currently are using. Not too sure what this is, however it's there if you need it. On the back here, as far as I know, it's another microphone jack, headphone jack, and I think that is a speaker. I think that is a port where you would connect a cable. I do have one. You would connect a cable in here and then a cable to your TV in the back, and it would enable you to have the sound through your motherboard. As far as I know, that is what it does. I have used that, but obviously no need for it now, as the HDMI port does the same job. Here we have a Ethernet port. We have two USB 2.0, well, four USB 2.0 speed ports here. We have another VGA out port, and that is a DVI. Here it says DVI, so this is also a DVI port. And I have another one here. Very good to have two of everything. Here I have a mouse like output. Don't use it, as my mouse runs off USB. And here the purple one is a keyboard. The back, as you can see, the fan extracts the air. Here I think you feel a bit of the air coming out as well. Obviously you have your on and off button, the power thing, 230 volt. Yeah. Now that covers everything on a basic overview. Obviously in further videos I'll be coming on to more detail on certain components, doing fraps tests, how the computer runs on different operating systems. Please comment on what you feel you should need to know, or what you want another video done. Like and obviously subscribe, as it is a new channel, and a lot more good videos will be uploaded very soon. Thank you.